So what does that look like in middle school, right? One of the things that we just put together, and once we got it all on one piece of paper, was pretty impressive, is an idea of like, middle school is one of the best times to get involved in activities and to try new things. I think a great example of that right now is in 8th grade, we have over half of our boys that are out for wrestling. So this is probably 20 to 25 of those, probably about 20 of those boys have never done it before, and they're willing to take that risk of putting on a singlet in front of their peers and wrestle against someone who's been doing it for years. Like that's, like a very telling sign to me amongst the climate in that locker room and those boys and the supportive atmosphere that they've developed with one of their teachers. That is really indicative to me about what middle school should be about. Willingness to put yourself out there, to try something, to not be afraid to fail. Because that's a very personal risk that those boys are taking. When they get on that mat for the first time, who knows what's going to happen. And they're going to run into a situation where they probably are going to fail, right? And it's going to be tough. Like, I doubt very few people go undefeated through a season. And you learn a lot about yourself and how to deal with those emotions and how to respond. And through activities like that, that's a safe venue in middle school. Whether it's going out for a play, whether it's doing like a Pakistan outreach project with Miss Audra, where you're on a video and you have to project the students in Pakistan to talk about issues in the United States, right? Like those are all opportunities that offer enriching experiences for kids to really get out there on their own and to deal with success and failure and learn how to recover from those things. So like that's going to be a really important thing, that before kids get to high school, that they, both academically and socially, that they've hit some barriers that have pushed their comfort zone, and they have to learn how to handle those emotions going into high school. And so that's one thing that on the activity side, this is on our website that we just put up for families to check out. And it is basically, it's under the Students tab, then you drop down and takes you to this page under Student Activities and Clubs. And there's about 5 pages of text, so we didn't make a copy, of just different opportunities that would give kids this chance. One of the ones that's coming up after wrestling is track, where DeSalle Middle School always has one of the biggest teams, and that's another great place, for kids to push that comfort zone. But it's tons of different types of activities. So it's in English and Spanish. The Spanish is buried under the English. It's down at the bottom. It's like vertigo. Where you'll have an opportunity to look at some of those and encourage your kids to push the envelope on some new ideas and some new thinking, and really be able to explore an interest. I was really proud of some kids where we've been trying to do a lot of work with robotics. And we had some students who signed up not really knowing what they were even. These little Sphero robots that the DeSalle Education Foundation discovered, and then to watch like the joy in those kids' lives as they're struggling with programming and they actually get it to work, and those opportunities to learn computer programming, but in a really safe setting with a robot that always doesn't do what you say it's going to do, and so you have to go through those challenges and frustrations. It's the type of learning setting that we want to be sure our activities encompass here. And then academics, we'll go ahead. This is going to probably really coincide with my next slide on habits of a scholar in middle school. Ideally, I think the nails on chalkboard statement that I'm bound to hear from our 8th graders after this conversation is, it doesn't matter now, grades don't count until high school, right? That is always something that I have to take a few steps, deep breaths, and then I engage the student in the conversation. Because what would come out the first time wouldn't be very appropriate. Because I really believe that what happens now is the most critical time for our 8th graders moving forward, and for all of our middle schools to really, this is the time that we cement habits. And so we don't want to wait until 9th grade to make sure that we have learning strategies and those real essential habits. So things like, how do you study for a tough test? How do you manage time? If there's these 2 or 3 things due, how can you chunk out those assignments, manage your plan, or manage your day so you're hitting due dates? If you have a vocabulary test, what's the best way to study for vocabulary? Those types of learning strategies are things for kids to really hone and practice as they're preparing. Homework completion is, something that we put a lot of work into with the All-Star list. So I'd like us to get really regular, in a place where kids are managing their time, getting their homework done on time, staying caught up, and getting that important practice put in. Self-advocacy and questioning, like where perseverance, like the hard work, grit, that really has to intersect with executive skills. Because we'll have students on a Khan Academy lesson or an IXL, teachers go back and track, and they nest 150 questions, right? Like just failure after failure after failure, and they aren't asking questions or advocating. And so when students are reaching that frustration level, teachers want to help, they want to teach, and if that student can come in with a couple specific questions after maybe missing 20 questions, then we can help them along, get the rig back on the road with feedback, and then they can be successful. And so there are some stories of this outstanding perseverance and grit in our students. But we also want them to have the strategies to know when to advocate for themselves, when to ask for help, and also encourage parents to contact teachers to say, hey, my child's having a hard time with this. Can you help them self-advocate? Can you pull them up? Can we help develop those relationships? Because there may be a relationship issue that's getting in the way of this child wanting to talk to a teacher. And so, those are really ways that you can support your child in middle school. Is one, really do incorporate that, creating those learning plans, those guides, study groups, having them hold themselves accountable to reach those deadlines, really work hard to do it, but also making sure that if it gets too hard, that we're there for them, right? And in high school, we're there for them. Mr. Hayden's son went to college, had a professor that he really didn't like, was struggling in a class, had the courage to go to office hours a lot, developed a relationship with the professor, got a lot of the work done, his grade came up, and he felt much better about the class. When our kids go to school, we want them to have those skills. I remember my freshman year of college, I actually emailed a professor that I was really liking. I said, hey, I really like this, that you're doing this. My senior year, when I left college, he went and found me and said, I've never had a student do that before, right? And remembered me 4 years later. And so, those are the types of self-advocacy and interrelational skills that we want our children establishing with their teachers. So on Habits of a Scholar, just some kind of fun facts. The University of Pennsylvania, Penn put together a grit index or a grit survey. We actually have the survey posted to our website, and if anyone wants to check it out, under the mindset resources. They found that when they tracked kids who took that survey to their ACT scores and SAT scores, that the grit survey was a better predictor of college success than a test score. And so that work ethic is going to be something that's really important to instill. GPA is also a better predictor of success than a test score because they're relying on academic habits. There's that work piece and the work ethic piece that's tied into a GPA that isn't into just a test score. Executive skills. The students who can organize their time, organize themselves, be places on time, those are a better predictor of success in the real world than IQ scores. And so, it's very important that we're focusing on those things. Enthusiasm is the #1 thing that employers look for when they hire. And so that's why that's one of our habits of the scholar, right? We all want to work with people who bring some joy and some energy and some excitement. And so that's, one of the habits that we really want to be reinforcing as a community. 94% of Fortune 1000 executives rated working in teams or teamworks as very important or essential when they hire candidates. And so, when we talk college and career readiness, there's a reason why we picked out the habits of a scholar that we did. And that work starts in middle school to cement, because we want that foundation there when they get to high school around those specific traits. So we're going to pause before we get into some nitty-gritty high school stuff about the transition, what courses look like in the high school, some specifics about those things. Just if anyone has any kind of general questions for Liz or myself about either middle school preparation or the college counseling piece. So why don't we do this? Take about, let's say a minute or two. Let's just give you guys a chance to process. If you could turn and talk to your child, if your child's with you, turn and talk to a spouse or some neighbors and start a little conversation about, is there anything in here that struck you, that reaffirmed something that you really knew, and then maybe we might get some questions. So take a minute or two just to process something that you heard, and then we'll transition into the next piece.
Yeah, I'll see if there are.
All right, so if there were any burning questions that came up in your conversations, be happy to entertain them now, or again, we could wait till the end as well. So, yeah.
Do you have a list of where your high school seniors have matriculated to for colleges?
I haven't had it with me. I'll pass it down.
And in our foyer, I have a project that I haven't completed where I have a map that I want to put a pinprick in for every place they go. But we also have that list posted in that display case on your way out. And if you want to check out the College Board, there's information posted there.
And then when you, the high school website.
And it's on the high school website?
Yes.
Okay.
And when you come to visit the Basalt High School for registration, we have a huge College Board where we list where the kids have gotten in so far from this year, as well as all those other lists.
Any other questions?
One other question. You're the college counselor for the entire district.
No, just for Basalt High School, but Basalt High School is the only school that has a designated college counselor in our district.
And I have some good news. Our college counselor was on a grant. We had a 3-year grant, and it's up this year. That's the bad news, right? Okay. But the good news is it got re-upped for 5 more years for our school. So,
Who is that grant for?
Aspen Community Foundation.
There's one back in there.
Yeah. But see, we added 2 more this year, so I think we're up to 7. Yeah.
Is there a way we can find out what AP classes count as college credit, which colleges? Well, so an AP class has 2 purposes. So an AP class will show a college that your student did college-ready work because it is a college-level class. To get credit for the AP, you have to pass the AP test. It's scored from 1 to 5. Different colleges will take that credit at different levels. So, and I don't have that memorized, but like for instance, some colleges may say, we'll take AP US History, we'll give you a history credit if you get a 4 or a 5 on your AP test. So if you get a 3, it's still great that you took that class. It shows it helped you get into the college, but you may not get a college credit for it. And then some schools would say, no, we'll only take it if you have a 5 on it. So it's school by school, and you can go to the AP testing site, like you can go to the website, I think it's College Board actually, and they will give you lists. So Google AP test and navigate the website, and it'll say what colleges will take what level of score. And that stuff. Thank you.
I would say it's probably a misuse of resources to have Liz try to memorize that information because it's so varied. But what's great about those classes are the rigorous classes that push kids thinking, and students who take those classes tend to do better in college, whether they do great on the test or not. And that's kind of generalized across colleges. Exactly where the credits go is some crazy matrix you're welcome to research, but it's probably just better for us to get our kids taking interesting, rigorous classes.
But I will say one more thing, I'm not countering you or anything. There are kids that take the AP test without taking an AP class. So there are certainly, it is an option for anyone to take the AP test if you think you've done the studying and prepared yourself well enough. And some kids do it via an independent study. Some kids just are so passionate about computer science and they know so much about computer science that they go ahead and take that AP test.
When did the AP tests happen? Did they happen during the senior year?
They happen at the end of the AP class.
Yeah.
Okay, so each class.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if somebody takes it 11th grade, there are some people that can take AP classes, there's no rule.
So I can tell you just quickly the AP classes that we're going to offer next year. So we're going to offer, right now we offer AP Literature, but next year we added an AP Language class too. So in English we offer AP Literature and offer AP Language. We offer AP Calculus. We're also going to offer a statistics class maybe next year if it's an enrollment. It's not an AP class, but it's a higher level math class. We offer also AP Spanish class. We also offer AP Biology. We offer AP American History, and we're offering AP World History next year. And we're offering Environmental Science with an AP option. So those are the classes that we're, and oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one. The art teacher would be mad at me if I didn't say this. We are going to offer AP Art History next year if there's enough kids that want to take it. So those are the classes that we're offering next year. Some of those are going to be rotated, so kids have a choice to take it.
And they're offered and taught at the high school?
They're offered and taught at the high school by our teachers.
I was just going to interject. If you guys had any questions about course offerings, perhaps hold on to those until the question and answer after I try to summarize some of that information. Now that being said, if you have other questions for Jeremy or for Liz about middle school and college process, definitely please continue to ask those right now. But course offerings, we're going to kind of get to that.
This is maybe not along the lines, but I think it's very important. You guys also offer CMC courses along with AP, and that also gives another opportunity for college credit, correct?
Yeah, yes.
So I got on the
We planned
website and
it.
I saw there was 13 or 14 classes between AP and CMC college credit courses that DeSault High School has. And I think every parent needs to know that, and every child needs to know that opportunity.
There's a thing called concurrent enrollment. Okay, so juniors and seniors can take up to 2 classes at the college, and the school district will pay for it. So that's a pretty good deal, and you can get college credit for that too.
And other grades can take it if they place into it. So
Yeah.
piggybacking on what Jeremy said is that how important middle school is. If you can pass the AccuPlacer, which is a placement test for CMC classes, at an early stage, then you're ready to take college level classes at CMC earlier in your high school career.
I just want to say one thing about AP classes, and it's that the idea that AP classes are the only rigorous classes that happen in any high school or school. We want all our classes to be rigorous and challenging. The AP class just allows us to do something with college credit, but every class in our school, we want to be rigorous and challenging for every child. So AP is one option, but for example, we offer a physics class. It is not an AP class, but it is a very challenging and rigorous class. Our Math 3 class, I guarantee you most people in this room would not pass the Math 3 test for all of us. So it is all classes, in my opinion, are challenging and rigorous, and that's what we work towards.
So if you're curious, we definitely have an event coming up where 8th graders are registering for their next year. That's going to be this coming Wednesday. We'll advertise that and invite you all. But I mean, you're not all 8th grade parents, but you may just want to know like what types of courses are offered at the high school. We have a course catalog. I'm not going to summarize that now. But if we're talking about college, you at least want to know that the curricular resources are out there to get your kids ready for college. I would want to know that. So I just want to do enough of a summary of what a kid's career looks like course-wise to, I guess, convince you of that, because I believe it's true. So in the early grades, really, we do a lot of focus on academic habits and also the core academic skills. And there's some flexibility there, but that flexibility becomes more in the later grades. So for example, a freshman schedule might look something like this, where if you're in 8th grade, you're probably going to have this schedule. You're going to be taking English 1, Math 1 or 2, Earth Science, U.S. History, and then 3 electives. Now I'm not going to summarize all the electives that are offered because we have a book that we'll give to you guys during that registration event and has gone home with all 8th graders. Okay? But I guess I got ahead of myself. I just want to reiterate something that Jeremy mentioned, that it's not just about the curricular access, it's about developing these students as successful students and also successful people and good people. So you're going to see the same focus in the high school with consistent language on academic habits that you guys have seen in middle school with Jeremy and his staff. So a couple examples of, and of course, it might be reasonable to get all the examples of freshman schedules up there. When we start talking about 11th and 12th grade, it would be some crazy number of schedules that I could only express with factorials. I'm not going to do that. Thank you, math joke, you got it. And so this is an example of a couple of kids who might be taking Spanish and concert choir, maybe taking leadership their freshman year. You see, it's really, you have these core classes and then some flexibility for taking some other classes. Okay, some flexibility. So for example, it's a point of pride in this community. We have this really vibrant music program, and we continue that in the high school and provide room in our schedule for kids to continue with that passion. We're going to see some of the 10th grade's basic. 10th grade, it's kind of the same deal. You're going to see a building of the core, a few more options. And 11th and 12th grade was where you see a lot more flexibility and a lot of resources for kids. And where you want to be doing is you want to be kids want to be challenging themselves to grow academically and to grow as people, become their best selves. And exactly what they should take right now, we start doing 4-year plans in the high school in 9th grade. You don't need to have that, what I'm taking senior year plan out there, but it's good to start thinking about that because we're going to be making that plan, though there may be some flexibility, pretty soon. If you're a 5th or 6th grade parent, you might just want to know that the resources are out there that you may not need to make the plan right now. So for example, there's a couple of 11th graders that might be taking some AP classes already in their junior year, some core classes, and a class that might prepare them for the transition to college, the college application process.
Not might, will.
Will. Thank you. This is another student who might be taking some more advanced classes. We actually have like an engineering design build class. And similarly, Liz is alluding to it, we're starting to build, we're actually starting this next year, we're starting to build some of the program, some of the services that Liz delivers into the daily schedule of every kid. so we can get some of those standardized college preparatory items or college and career preparatory items to every kid on a daily basis in a meaningful way, and then allow Liz to be like an advisor to individual students. So that's going to be happening for juniors soon. We might see for seniors, and again, like there's so many ways so many permutations for student schedules by the time they get to be seniors. This is just a couple of examples to illustrate the breadth of the opportunities that are out there for kids. If you want to investigate more, our entire course catalog has gone home with 8th graders, and it's available on our website.